Let's talk about the UK because fears of a recession are growing after the economy shrank unexpectedly last month. Activity fell by 0.1% in March as consumers cut back on spending amid the rising cost of living. Well, let's talk to Vicky Pryce, the distinguished economist who's a board member at the Centre for Economics and Business Research. I guess that you're going to say this is a load of factors. What are the main factors that set the UK economy on this set of results?
I think the main thing we're seeing right now is that consumer confidence is dropping and dropping very substantially because we're having a cost of living crisis. Of course, loads of countries are suffering from similar problems. We see that across Europe, where in fact there was recession in some of the countries, or rather drop in GDP in some of the countries in the first quarter. We've at least escaped that. So we still have an increase in overall GDP of 0.8%, which means that we're way above pre-pandemic levels, which is good news. But unfortunately, if you look at it on a monthly basis, it was 0 in February in terms of growth, and it was just 0.1% in March drop. And that, of course, suggests that, if you carry on with those trends that we're seeing at present, we could indeed end up with the second quarter seeing a decline in GDP, which some economists are forecasting right now.
And do you think we're likely to see a recession?
It's possible. It's being forecast actually by the Bank of England, which is looking at particularly what may be happening towards the end of this year and into next year, where they have adjusted their growth forecast for next year to a negative figure, and that's pretty worrying. Yes, I think we could get a recession, but I think what's going to happen is that governments are going to step in, as they're doing in other countries, and give more support. Of course, we also don't know what's going to happen to oil prices. More generally, we don't know what's going to happen to food prices. But the consumer is certainly feeling quite poor right now because inflation is rising faster than wages. I think the government is going to have to intervene and particularly help those at the lower pay end of the wage bracket, and also those who rely on benefits, and do something to relieve some of those pressures that are out there. What that will mean is more spending by the government, more borrowing possibly, but at least I think it will mean that the sort of pressure on consumers and living standards might be eased, so things could improve a little bit. My worry is mainly on manufacturing, investment. We've had huge input costs, of course, increasing very significantly for some sectors of the economy. Whether they'll be able to pass those to the consumer is questionable, and investment does not seem to be picking up as we had forecast. So growth ahead does not look too rosy.
In a global squeeze, domestic political policy levers can be sometimes rather pointless. Which policies do you think might work to ease this UK economic pressure?
Well, one of the things that can be done is ease the pressure on energy bills, household energy bills. We have very high energy bills by comparison to loads of other countries in Europe. In other places, they have capped prices quite considerably. We haven't really done that. So something needs to give there. So and I think something will happen. In addition, really supporting those on benefits in particular, but also looking at what can be done with industry. There has been a lot of concern that all those energy-intensive sectors have suffered quite significantly, and that's why we're not seeing that investment happening. A bit of direct help would also assist. On the other hand, what we seem to be doing in the UK is raise interest rates a lot faster than has been happening in Europe, where, of course, we've hardly seen that at all. There will be an increase in Europe too, but we seem to have gone ahead a bit earlier than others, and that is adding to pressure for firms as well, who have, in fact, borrowed rather a lot during COVID.
You've seamlessly led us on to our next story, as I'd expect. Thank you so much for coming on the programme. Vicky Pryce, thank you very much.